There have been numerous opportunities on this channel in which I've consulted tracks that are covers. If you forgive me, this isn't exactly a cover in terms of how it's described, but I'm using that attribution fittingly because I think it's an easy translation. In this case, it works serviceably in description as an analogy. I've consulted many tracks with other artists coming on the scene that have been inspired by an original piece from another artist that take distinct approaches to a adaptation of the piece, whether it's an attempt to replicate the experience with perhaps a different tonality or to exercise some variance. Covers have a wide landscape in how they approach translation of the inspired works. And while Marching on Versailles from Ad Infinitum in its revisited version is not explicitly a cover, it's just an acoustic version, it's kind of like that. At least it feels different, even though it's the same artist performing. There's a lot of similarity, in fact, in terms of the song's adaptation. The same key was picked. It doesn't have much disruption, at least in the flow either. It has a steady rhythm that follows along with the original rock version of the piece included on Chapter 1, Monarchy. But the piece almost takes, because it's much softer and reduced, and the style of it, though, in terms of the instrument medley, the way it's performed, there was this feeling of, like, it's taken on this whole new appearance that I don't oftentimes tend to listen to acoustic works too regularly. Sometimes I have. In the case of Ad Infinitum, I have given that provision before. But this almost translates the piece into like its own unique form and styling. It's not like every other acoustic version I've heard where it's stripped down. I mean, even Chapter 1 Monarchy included a couple samples, and even those, now that I'm thinking about it, they have an independent personality from the original inspirational works, those being See You in Hell and Tell Me Why. I think Tell Me Why is pretty close, but like even See You in Hell has a different sound to it and almost a contrasting vibe, even if it's the same song. The softer balance of it and presence puts it in its own unique positioning. Marching on Versailles, the same. And it does help, in fact, I think, the way that the video was structured in regards to being like a live in the park, performance. You can't necessarily see if they're performing for anybody. It looked like a general accessible public area, so I could imagine if this was the case, people walking through and stopping, because it was so exquisite in terms of an encounter. But the video, mixed with a new adaptation of a familiar piece I've really come to love in my journey in getting better familiarized to Ad Infinitum since December, when I originally consulted Marching on Versailles. And some of you have had that experience with me. It was a real treat to engage with a very talented Swiss symphonic metal group. Perhaps I'm giving a baseline in that context for some of you perhaps are approaching this not knowing who Ad Infinitum is, or you haven't engaged with them with me, but you've seen the name pop up. You're going to love them if you haven't. If you're a big metalhead and you're into the European metal scene, which you should be if you're not. It's, as I've said many times, a wonderful landscape in the music world that you do not want to be missing out on at all if you're into discovering new talents. The journey I've taken of Ad Infinitum has been great. And the revisited album, which this is the first time I'm hearing it, I did miss it. I should have covered it in context and in order, because I went back on Chapter 1, to get a better foundation to where I'm at now of Chapter 3, considering that's what we're waiting for. I should have covered it in context of the release date, but I didn't. The videos didn't pop up, at least when I looked them up. Originally, I didn't consider the revisited version until later. But where we're at now, and again, as I said, waiting for Chapter 3, and to give a prelude to what's to come, as I said before, I'm going to be consulting the remainder of that album from what I haven't already looked at, being the first 4 singles. The remaining 8 tracks will be spotlighted on this channel, but we have 11 days to go until that album releases. So, in the meantime, it just made sense to fill the void of patience not willingly leaves in terms of an emotion. I mean, I think many of us would just rather hear the album outright, but we have to wait a bit more. But in the time between, I figured it'd be kind of fun to reinvigorate the joy that I've experienced with this group with Chapter 1 in its revisited condition. And I found it quite attractive, again, in its originality and its new voice. But it's just as approachable as their past works. I find it, again, exists in a wonderful space where I want to listen to the entire album. It really is. Marching on Versailles was a great treatment and twist from what was originally established. So going forward from there, as I said, we have one more Begata music video. That's how I'm choosing to consult certain tracks, and that's so I can also recognize a bunch of other artists I have yet to look at the works for. I cover music on a pretty regular basis, and there's a lot of artists I have on the list. So again, whether some of you might wish for me to cover the entire album, again, I'm giving that for Chapter 3. I really wish I'd done that for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 upon listening to those albums, but for right now, it's just easier if I cover a good sample. So Demons will be the one I end on, but of course I'm going to listen to the rest of the album myself, the revisited condition of it. Anyway, because I've already listened to every album that they've ever released. I have everything of theirs on my phone except for the full version of it. So I have the 2 songs, though. I pre-buy all the music I cover on this channel. So, Demons. Let's consult how this track sounds. I mean, this was also, like Marching on Versailles, a very aggressive song and tone, but I would imagine it's going to face a bit of an alteration here. But a fun one. Let's entertain it. I'm going to go ahead and cue up the song alongside the video, and if you're somebody that likes to read along with the narrative of the piece, and again, maybe you're not familiarized with my work, so you don't know the formula I run with, I try and accommodate listener taste however I can. So I will provide the lyrics for you in the video, and they'll navigate with the song in accordance as we make our way through it. Okay, Demons. Here we go. This is a really good piece, too. I mean, lyrically speaking, and the vision of it, it's a fun listen, especially on its first inspired version. But what's this new one going to sound? I like that drum pattern. That's good. New location. Okay. We switched things up. That's nice. Give it some variation. That carrying through line is nice for me. I forget what it is in the piano world. This is really digging back, but like if you're pressing the pedal down, it's got that even pace with the voice. I mean, it's contained the background vocals, but it's wonderful. It's just a light beat emphasis. It's great. Obviously, they have to draw it back a little bit. Okay, they switch up the vocal styling. That's nice. So a higher range, at least in some octaves, to vary it from the screaming, which I couldn't do as easily in acoustic. I mean, you could. It just wouldn't sound as good. Just small little changes. It gives it, again, this unique vision. But this one is closely allied to the original work. The pre-chorus sections work really well here in this form. Oh, she repeated it? Or did they repeat it in the original work? I don't remember. I'm realizing now I never gave first coverage to Demons, so you're getting my thoughts of the song, I guess. Reflecting in a new tone of it. So I did go back and listen to it on my own, so... Okay, she kept the spoken word. I really like the fantasy vibe here. Again, it's distinctive. It differentiates itself sufficiently. Even outro again. Some nice variation to give it its own original flair. but it is very consistent to the original work in key choice and pacing, with, again, some extensions, I believe. I forget exactly. I think there is some alteration, at least, again, in some parts of the structure, like some verses are elongated a bit more, other places not as much. There's definitely some exercise, undisputably, of some revisions in the vocal capacity. I mean, in terms of Melissa Bonney playing around with her, the octave use, sometimes background vocal integration. Like, again, I forget the exact terminology, but you've got the lingering ballad of artists in the background that, again, I'm dipping way back here in terms of my piano days, which is when did I start playing the piano? That was probably first grade. I only did it for about 5 years. I always wanted to do percussion. I never really wanted to do piano. No shade intended to piano players, but, you know, we have dreams that don't oftentimes materialize. Anyway, I remember a couple things, though. For me, it'd be like, you know, if I were pressing the pedal down in terms of playing some notes or just getting something out, it has that same feeling that, again, is not consistent from what I remember with the original work. There weren't any background. There were probably some. I think there were some background vocals, but nothing like in terms of like a choir type regressed sound. It's really not bad at all. Again, I like these new takes that the group is producing, and each of the variations, in fact, has a particularly fresh lens. Not just in terms of the original works, but differentiating the location choices as well, which I don't know where this was filmed. I don't think the page says as I'm looking at it, but it's a very humble atmosphere. You know, it feels like, again, you're just walking around somewhere in nature, and you just see this group, you know, playing in front of you. Like, you just want to sit down and listen to it, but it feels so approachable and open that how can you not engage with it? You know, again, I've had such a great time with Ad Infinitum thus far, as, again, a newcomer infinitor, but I've had a wonderful, you know, period of engaging with their work. You know, like I've said many times, the European landscape is just, it's thriving, and I love exploring around, and as much as I have. Ad Infinitum, they've been around for a few years, and I'm still making my way around, you know, in terms of a number of names. And Melissa Bonney, you know, as I've said, and she has the same story of how I approached both her and thus Ad Infinitum through collaborative works. You know, I've said many times, if you've not heard my recommendations before, go listen to the collaboration she did with Mortimia, Devastation Bound. He's a Norwegian metal artist. That was what first engaged me to her vocal talents, and similar to every other artist he's collaborated with for other works, I'm like, you know, I'll give Melissa Bonney a spotlight at some point. And there was just something about Ad Infinitum that, you know, again, listening to Devastation Bound, I don't often do this, but I pre-bought everything that was available, at least other than the revisited version, outright. I will be doing that now for the full album, of course, but I took it on faith, and I've enjoyed the journey thus far in consultation of, as of this video, 4, 8, 12, 13, 15 songs. Soon to be 23, because, again, I'm adding on the extra 8 for Chapter 3. So we're going to have great time in the future come March 31st, or as quickly as I can get the videos up, or at least start to roll them out with Ad Infinitum. And Chapter 1 revisited to fill the void of waiting in terms of where I'm at now and the 11 days to go. It's a great tease, again, to reinvigorate my interest, which, again, I listen to Ad Infinitum routinely, you know, in regards to, you know, my playlist, but engaging with new music is always a fun aspect of covering them. They really are such a great group to spotlight on this channel. This is the type, again, of artists I've wanted to have the experience with in building out a focus of music on this channel, which has been a long-time aspiration of mine. Consultation of new artists and talents out there that are established and just craving to be heard. And Ad Infinitum certainly is that. I would be curious to hear, for those of you, this is a first time listen, if you agree. And of course I would recommend you go listen to their past library. And for some of you, I imagine this is going to be, you know, very familiarized. You've already heard it, and you're a long-time infinitor. So we're enjoying the experience together again, as we have 14 times at this point, with exception to this one. We've had that experience where you're sitting back going, oh, you're a familiarized fan, you're watching somebody listen to and experience the pieces who is new, and just getting the first introduction. I like that dynamic, and I like having that connection point. Let me know what your thoughts are on the piece down below. And again, like I said with Demons, the translation, I mean, it's an exquisite song in its original form. And I do tend to gravitate, as I said, to the aggressive more so. So it's a fitting piece of my interest, as many of their pieces are. And I like their softer stuff as well. But this is a strong adaptation of an original work that is preserved, very much so in terms of a similar vibe. But it carries this new feeling. an energy with it that is just as intoxicating as the original listen. Like, the revisited version, it is a unique space for me in regards to acoustic releases. I like the feeling of it, and the 2 tracks of Entertained have certainly enticed me to go look at the album further. Of course I would anyway, because it's that Infinitum you're talking about. But Demons was great. I like this listen quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.